Nearly 3 decades in the trenches of entrepreneurship. That's how long I've been building, launching, and scaling technology ventures. Today, my portfolio includes multiple artificial intelligence companies, each generating substantial seven-figure revenues annually. We're not talking about side hustles here. These are legitimate, scalable businesses that continue to grow month after month. But here's what keeps me up at night. What if everything disappeared tomorrow? What if I had to rebuild from absolute zero? No capital, no technical background, no coding expertise, nothing but determination and the knowledge I've accumulated over these years. That question isn't hypothetical anymore. We're living through the most transformative technological shift since the internet itself. Artificial intelligence isn't coming. It's already here, fundamentally reshaping how businesses operate, how value is created, and how wealth is generated. And I'm going to share something that might surprise you. Starting an AI business in 2025 is actually easier than launching a traditional software company was a decade ago. The barriers that once seemed insurmountable, technical complexity, massive development costs, specialized knowledge, have essentially evaporated. Over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact methodology I would use to launch a profitable AI venture this year, starting from scratch. These aren't theoretical concepts or abstract frameworks. This is the precise roadmap I've used to build multiple successful companies, now adapted for the artificial intelligence era we're entering. Let's begin with the foundation that determines whether your business will thrive or die within its first year. Understanding genuine market pain. Here's where most aspiring entrepreneurs go wrong from day one. They fall deeply in love with their solution, their technology, their brilliant idea, without ever confirming that anyone actually needs it. They build products that sound impressive in pitch meetings, but solve problems nobody is willing to pay to fix. Think of it this way. There's a fundamental difference between vitamins and painkillers in the marketplace. Vitamins are nice to have. They're supplements that might improve things marginally. Painkillers, on the other hand, address urgent, acute problems that people will pay almost anything to solve immediately. Your AI business needs to be a painkiller, not a vitamin. When you press on a real business problem, a genuine pain point, you should see an immediate reaction. That ouch moment tells you everything. If someone responds with mild interest or says that's nice, you haven't found real pain yet. But when they lean forward, their eyes widen, and they ask, "When can I get this?" That's when you know you've struck gold. The truth about consumer behavior is surprisingly simple. People and businesses pay for a very limited set of outcomes. First and foremost, they pay to make more money. Second, they'll invest to save time. Because in business, time literally is money. Third, they'll spend to reduce costs, which indirectly increases profitability. And finally, they'll pay for status, for looking good in front of their peers, clients, or competitors. If your AI solution doesn't clearly deliver one of these four outcomes, you need to go back to the drawing board. Here's a practical exercise I want you to start immediately. Create what I call your frustration list. Most people move through the world blind to opportunity. They encounter inefficiencies, bottlenecks, and problems constantly, but they've trained themselves to ignore these signals. They think, "That's just how things are," or "Someone would have solved this already if it was worth solving." That's exactly the wrong mindset. I've spent years developing what I call the opportunity muscle. Now, when I walk through an airport, attend a business meeting, or even grab coffee at a local shop, I automatically spot dozens of potential business opportunities. Not because I'm particularly brilliant, but because I've trained myself to ask one simple question repeatedly: why is it done this way? That question is the birthplace of innovation. Start documenting every friction point you encounter, especially in areas where you have expertise or insider knowledge. That industry you've worked in for years, you're sitting on a gold mine of insights that outsiders can't see. Those daily frustrations your colleagues complain about, Each one represents a potential business opportunity. But documentation alone isn't enough. You need to validate that others feel this pain too. This is where the real work begins. Pick up the phone and start calling people in your target market. Not to sell anything, you don't have anything to sell yet, but to understand their world. Ask open-ended questions about their biggest challenges, their daily frustrations, the obstacles preventing them from achieving their goals. Here's the magic number: 10. When you've had conversations with 10 different people and they've all independently described the same fundamental problem, you've found something worth pursuing. That's not coincidence. That's market validation. The conversation framework is straightforward. You say something like, "I've been speaking with several business owners in your industry, and they've consistently mentioned challenges around X, Y, and Z. Does that resonate with your experience?" When they respond affirmatively, and especially when they elaborate with their own specific examples, you've struck validation gold. Now your job shifts from discovery to solution design. You want them to help shape your thinking about how this problem could be solved. What would the ideal solution look like? What would make their lives dramatically easier? But here's the critical final piece of this first phase. You need to pair the problem with a growing market. Solving problems in declining industries is like, well, swimming against a strong current. Yes, you can make progress, but everything is harder than it needs to be. Instead, identify industries or market segments growing at 20% or more annually. These markets have momentum, capital flowing in, and a hunger for solutions that provide competitive advantages. The artificial intelligence angle becomes your differentiator here. Many existing solutions in these markets were built before AI capabilities existed. They rely on manual processes, rule-based systems, or honestly, clunky interfaces that require significant human intervention. Your opportunity is to rebuild these solutions with AI-first thinking from the ground up. Not adding AI as a feature layer on top of existing architecture, but fundamentally reimagining how the problem gets solved when you can leverage large language models, machine learning, and intelligent automation. This is what separates you from established competitors. They're retrofitting AI onto legacy systems. You're designing the solution from first principles with AI at the core. One more critical insight: focus on solving problems for people and businesses with money. This sounds obvious, but many entrepreneurs target markets that simply can't afford robust solutions. Solve problems for profitable companies, high-earning professionals, or well-funded organizations. They'll pay faster, pay more, and be less price-sensitive when your solution delivers real value. Now that you've identified and validated a genuine market pain, let's talk about the second phase: solving the problem manually before you automate anything. I know what you're thinking. Wait, I thought we were building an AI business? Why would I do manual work? Because this is the fastest path to genuine market understanding, and frankly, the fastest path to generating revenue that will fund your product development. Look at the most successful technology companies in the world. Shopify, Basecamp, FreshBooks, they all started the same way. The founders provided services manually to real customers, got paid for that work, and used the intimate process knowledge they gained to build software that automated their own workflow. This approach delivers three critical advantages simultaneously. First, you get paid while you learn. Instead of burning through savings or borrowed capital while building something in isolation, customers are literally funding your education about their needs, their processes, and their desired outcomes. Second, you gain deep process intimacy. When you're personally delivering the solution, you understand every edge case, every point of friction, every moment of delight or frustration. This knowledge becomes invaluable when you start building automated systems. Third, you establish customer relationships and gather testimonials before you even have a scalable product. These early customers become your advisory board, your reference accounts, and often your most effective marketing channel through word-of-mouth referrals. Here's how to structure this manual phase effectively. Create what I call a done-for-you offer document. Keep it to a single page. Clarity and simplicity matter more than comprehensive detail at this stage. Your offer document needs 4 essential components. Component 1. The problem. Describe the pain point you've validated through those discovery conversations. Use language that resonates with how your target customers actually talk about their challenges, not how you think they should describe them. Component 2. The outcome. Paint a clear picture of what success looks like. What specific results will they achieve? How will their business or operations be different after you've solved this problem? Quantify this whenever possible. Increased revenue, time saved, errors reduced, opportunities captured. Component 3. The timeline. Give them a clear understanding of when they'll see results. 30 days is often a sweet spot, long enough to deliver something substantial, short enough to maintain momentum and excitement. Component 4. The investment. Notice I said investment, not cost or price. Frame this as them investing in solving a problem that's costing them far more than your fee. If you're saving them 20 hours per week of manual work, or helping them capture opportunities they're currently missing, even a substantial monthly fee becomes an obvious decision. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you've validated that small businesses are missing sales opportunities because they can't answer phone calls during busy periods. Your done-for-you offer might read, replace your need for a full-time receptionist, eliminate missed customer opportunities, and ensure every prospect call converts to a booked meeting, delivered and operational within 30 days for $2,500 monthly. See how that works? Clear problem, clear outcome, clear timeline, clear investment. Someone reading that should immediately think either yes, that solves my exact problem, or no, that's not relevant to me. Both responses are valuable. You want clear signals, not lukewarm interest. Part 3. The Clickable Prototype. So, you've validated the pain. You've delivered solutions manually to paying customers. You deeply understand the problem and the value your solution creates. Now it's time to build something, but we're not building the full product just yet. Let me share a cautionary tale. A colleague approached me several years ago with a promising business idea. I advised him to validate with customers first, build a prototype, and, get paid before investing heavily in development. He decided to take a different path. $600,000 into development, the budget ballooned to $2 million. 3 years later, the product never launched. The company closed. Everything went to zero. Why? Because he built in isolation, investing massive resources without continuous customer feedback and validation. He confused activity with progress, complexity with value. Please don't make that mistake. Instead, build what I call a clickable prototype. This is a realistic simulation of your product that looks and feels functional, but honestly, doesn't actually work yet. It's sophisticated enough to demonstrate value, but simple enough to create quickly and cheaply. The paper flow process. Start with, the most analog tool possible, paper, or in modern terms, a digital pen and tablet. Map out the complete user workflow. If someone is going to use your AI solution, what's their first interaction? What happens next? What does each screen or interface look like? What decisions do they make? What feedback does the system provide? This isn't about making things pretty. It's about understanding the logical flow of how your solution delivers value. Every button, every input field, every automated response needs a purpose directly connected to solving the core problem you've validated. Here's a key insight for AI products specifically. The best interfaces are increasingly conversational or voice-driven. Users don't want complex dashboards requiring training and manual data entry. They want to speak or type naturally and receive intelligent responses. Think about that as you design your flow. A customer calls a phone number. They describe what they need in plain language. Your AI system understands their request, asks clarifying questions if needed, processes the information, and delivers the outcome automatically. That might mean booking an appointment, processing an order, providing customized recommendations, or generating a report. The less interface, the better. Rapid prototype creation. Once you've mapped the flow, it's time to create your clickable prototype. And this is where, honestly, 2025 differs dramatically from even just a few years ago. Previously, creating realistic product prototypes required design skills, expensive software, and weeks of work. Today, tools like Figma, UX Pilot, and Visali can transform plain English descriptions into professional-looking prototypes in minutes. You literally describe what you want to build, and AI generates the interface designs for you. Many of these prototypes achieve photorealistic quality. I've seen experienced investors and potential customers interact with prototypes believing they're using functional software. The visual fidelity has become that good. This is your secret weapon for customer conversations. Go back to those early customers who validated the pain. Show them your prototype. Walk them through the experience. Ask questions. Would you use this? What's most valuable? What would you change? What concerns do you have? Record these sessions if they permit. The insights you gain will shape not just your product, but your entire go-to-market strategy. Here's a sales technique that's worked remarkably well for me. Use your phone as your pitch deck. Imagine you're at a conference, sitting next to someone on a flight, or meeting a potential customer over coffee. When they ask what you do, instead of launching into a verbal description, you simply say, "Let me show you," and hand them your phone with the prototype loaded. They interact with it. They click through the experience. They feel like they're using a real product. The psychological impact is powerful. Suddenly your startup feels tangible, legitimate, real. The fact that it's actually a sophisticated smoke and mirrors show doesn't matter. You're demonstrating value and gauging reaction. I've seen founders successfully raise investment, close early customers, and recruit team members based purely on compelling clickable prototypes. Because what matters isn't whether the back-end code exists. It's whether you can clearly communicate value and demonstrate that you understand the problem deeply enough to build a solution. Remember the mantra prototype, not product. You're testing concepts and validating direction, not building production-ready software. We've reached what I consider the most critical phase of launching any business, validating your prototype with actual money-changing hands. Here's my fundamental rule. You haven't truly started a business until someone pays you. Everything before that moment is just expensive education and hopeful preparation. People will be incredibly nice to you. Friends, family, colleagues, even strangers you meet through networking. They'll listen to your idea and say encouraging things. "That sounds amazing. You should definitely build that." "I'd totally use that." These statements are absolutely meaningless. Good intentions don't pay bills. Positive feedback doesn't validate business models. Only actual purchase behavior matters. So you build your prototype, invest months of time, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. You go back to those encouraging people and say, "It's ready. Want to become a customer?" And suddenly they're busy. They're not quite ready. They need to check with their boss. The solution doesn't quite work the way they'd use it. The timing isn't right. You feel betrayed, but you shouldn't. They were being genuinely encouraging and supportive. They just weren't signaling actual purchase intent because you never asked for a real commitment. Here's the fundamental truth. Until people pay, they don't pay attention. And if they're not paying, their feedback becomes nearly worthless because they're not invested in the outcome. This principle has cost entrepreneurs more money, wasted more time, and destroyed more dreams than perhaps any other mistake in the startup world. Free users will suggest features endlessly. They'll complain about minor issues. They'll make demands and suggestions based on hypothetical scenarios they may never even encounter. Paying customers behave completely differently. Their feedback is grounded in actual usage. They're invested in seeing your solution succeed because they've committed resources to it. They're more patient with imperfections because they understand you're building something valuable together. Let me share something that might surprise you. Every single company I've ever launched, I've pre-sold before building the complete product. Every one. From Clarity to Spheric to Flowtown, I validated that real people would pay real money before investing heavily in development. This isn't unusual in the broader business world. In Dubai, 70% of real estate transactions happen off-plan, meaning people buy units and buildings before construction even begins. Developers use those commitments to finance the billion-dollar projects. Crowdfunding platforms prove this concept works for consumer products. Consulting firms and enterprise software companies routinely get paid to build custom tools. The model is everywhere once you look for it. So here's how to implement this for your AI business. Create what I call an early adopter program, sometimes called a founding 50 or advisory board approach. The concept is simple but powerful. You approach potential customers with this message. I've identified this significant problem in your market. I've built a prototype showing how AI can solve it. I'm looking for 10 to 50 early customers who want to be part of creating the solution that gives them competitive advantage. Frame it as an exclusive opportunity, not a favor. These early adopters get several valuable benefits. They help shape the product roadmap, ensuring it solves their specific challenges. They get access to innovation before their competitors. They receive preferential pricing and terms. They become part of something new rather than just buying another commodity solution. In every market, you have two types of people: early adopters and laggards. Early adopters buy the newest iPhone on launch day. Laggards still use flip phones. You're specifically targeting that first group, people who understand that being early provides advantages. Structure your early adopter program with an annual prepaid offer that's typically 50% off your intended retail pricing. Here's the math. If you plan to charge $100 monthly for your software, the annual retail price would be $1,200. Offer your early adopter program at $600 annually, half price for committing early and paying up front. But don't stop there. Add additional value that doesn't cost you much, but feels significant to them. VIP onboarding calls, implementation support, direct access to you as the founder, the ability to influence which features get built first, participation in an exclusive community of early users. This combination, meaningful discount, early access, and exclusive benefits, creates compelling reasons to say yes, even though your product isn't complete yet. The cash you collect from 10, 20, or 50 early adopters directly funds your development. You're not betting your savings or going into debt. Your customers are essentially financing the creation of the solution they need. Now, with paying customers committed and cash in hand, it's finally time to build the real product. But please hear this warning. Don't overbuild. The concept of minimum viable product has been around for years, but most entrepreneurs still ignore it. They want to build every possible feature. They want their solution to do everything for everyone. They spend months adding complexity that their early customers never asked for and may never use. This is a fatal mistake. Minimum means minimum. Focus on the 3 core capabilities that solve the validated pain point. That's it, nothing more. You can always add features later based on actual usage patterns and customer requests, but you can never recover the months or years wasted building features nobody wants. The beauty of AI-powered solutions is that relatively simple applications can deliver enormous value. Look at how major tech companies started. Facebook began as a simple directory for university students to see which classes their friends were taking. Amazon sold only books initially. These companies didn't try to be everything to everyone from day one. Let me share an example from my own portfolio. I have a company called Social Sweep that uses AI to analyze social networks, enrich data, and help users find specific people across platforms. Maybe someone who works at a particular company or has specific expertise. After we launched, customers started requesting enterprise-level features, complex analytics, team management capabilities, advanced filtering options. These were all reasonable requests from excited users. But I told my co-founder I appreciate that they're engaged enough to suggest features. Write them all down. Thank them genuinely for the feedback. But right now, let's nail the core use case. Let's ensure that what we promised, the fundamental value proposition, works flawlessly before we expand scope. This discipline served us well in two ways. First, customers could use the product as designed and get tremendous value immediately, rather than waiting months for complex features. Second, we could track which feature requests came up repeatedly from multiple customers versus one-off suggestions from a single user. Here's my filter. If a requested feature would impact 80% or more of customers, it's worth considering. If it's niche, valuable to only a small segment, it goes on a list for future consideration, but doesn't disrupt current development priorities. For those without coding backgrounds, 2025 offers unprecedented opportunities to build sophisticated AI applications without writing a single line of code. Here's the step-by-step process I recommend. First, visit a tool called BrainDumper at buildwithI.io. This platform allows you to describe your product idea in plain conversational English. And I mean messy, unstructured, stream-of-consciousness descriptions are fine. Think about all those customer conversations you've had. Look at your clickable prototype. Just talk through what you want to build as if you're explaining it to a colleague.